Hello, Faith family. Wow, it's been a while since we talked this way, right? I can't even remember the last time we did an update like this, but I just thought it was a good time today. There's several things that on the forefront here, and just wanted to get back into a habit of communicating regularly, even outside of service. I think that's important for all of us. So, with that, grace from God our Father, and peace to you from Jesus Christ our Savior. Amen. So, welcome to this update, Monday, July 13th. There's a number of things I just wanted to share with you. First of all, this has been a tough summer for so many reasons, obviously, and so I appreciate your patience. I mentioned during service last week that it was a challenging time with the passing of my brother, and so I just want to thank all of you for the well wishes, the cards, your thoughts, your prayers. It meant a lot to our family, and I really appreciated the space to be able to just experience that with my family, and so thank you very much for that on behalf of me and on behalf of my family. So, logistical item number one, I just wanted to tell you that we will not have a live service tomorrow night. Sorry, there was a couple of people popping up there and just distracted me. But we won't have a live service tomorrow night. So if you remember back at the beginning of the summer, I told you there might be several different ways that service takes place this summer. Myself, or we might join Pastor Jill Steichen. We might have a lay service. I told you that the Synod was also creating some services. Well, it just so happens that this coming Sunday, July 19th, there will be a Synod service. So Bishop Tesh Bishop Bill Tesh, our Bishop of Northwest Synod, is actually preaching on Psalm 86, I believe it is, if I'm not incorrect there. So there will be a sermon from Bishop Tesh in addition to a whole service wrapped around that will be provided by our synod. So that will go live at 9:30 on Sunday morning, of course, on our Facebook. I will also post that up to our YouTube channel, so those that want to watch it on YouTube at any time, you will be able to do that as well. I believe, if I'm correct, I think the parts of that service come out Wednesday for us. It might be Thursday. So either way, if you're going to watch it on YouTube. Then just look forward to that. It might be as late as Thursday that it gets up there, but it will get up there. And then, of course, we'll post it so it goes on a brand new post at 9:30 on our Facebook page as well. So the synod will be the synod will be putting together our service for this week, and we're really grateful for that, because as you can imagine, we have a small volunteer group of people that have been helping to put services together this summer, so it's a nice chance for them to get a break this week too. So that's logistical detail number one. Secondly, I just again want to give a shout out to our team that has been helping this summer. Deb Byers, Austin Erickson, Veronica Nelson, Mike Nelson. My goodness, the hours and the prep time and the effort that they're putting forth to help me get services done live so that we can still keep our congregation moving forward and connected. I just can't thank them enough. So if you see them, please tell them thanks, share the love here on this video so that we can pass that along to them. But man, our summer services wouldn't have been the same without those four people and a few others that have been pitching in their efforts to help us get a service done. So thank you to them. Logistical item number 3, just want to tell you that we do have some surprise guests scheduled for next week. So that would be on the Tuesday, July 21st live service. We'll actually have some other guests joining us for our production team that week. Deb is out that week, as is as is some other folks, and so I'll leave the surprise linger out there a little bit. Maybe you want to mull on who you might think those guests. So we'll have a guest reader, and we'll also have a guest vocalist. So Veronica is not with us as well that week. So maybe you want to guess who's going to be showing up next Tuesday night. So this coming Sunday, Synod service. Next Tuesday night, live service again. And then, for the following Sunday, of course, we'll have that recorded up on YouTube and on our Facebook post. So, one of the things that I just want to pose, well, first of all, let's just clear up some news, just so that you know that the ministry and the operations of the church are still going on. Obviously, our lay leadership continues to do the work they need to. There's been updates to the building this week. Lisa, of course, comes in weekly to do the business of the church, so that's all getting done. And last week, our council met for July. So the vast majority of the council was at the July meeting. We met downstairs in the fellowship room. We practiced our safe distancing. We all had our masks on, and of course everything was sterilized. So we were practicing the guidelines that we've put forth for all of what's going on at Faith Lutheran, and leading by example. I'm really happy about that. So the council met, as you can imagine, not a lot on the agenda, of course. We kind of are continuing along at status quo, but it was nice to bring the council together and kind of talk about the church's business and just kind of rehash where we are and where we're going. So thank you to the council for their continued service. We wouldn't be as productive without them. So thank you to all of them. One of the things that did come up at council, and I just want to share with you all, is a great big thank you to you, quite frankly, because as you probably know, each month we do review finances at each of the council meetings, and the exciting news is that you continue to give and you continue to support Faith Lutheran at a rate that maybe isn't seen at other congregations. As you well know, I've shared this many times. I've shared this many times that excuse me, I get caught up in trying to read the notes that are coming on the screen. We review the finances each month, and of course, one of the things as the council it's their job to pay attention to the stewardship that's coming in and how that gets spent. And so I can share with you that not all congregations are in the same boat as we are. We do meet every Tuesday as a rostered leader group, and there are some congregations that are sharing that they're not in as well of a financial position as we are. And so I just have to, on behalf of our council, say thank you to you all, because that's because of you guys, and you continue to give and you continue to support the mission of Faith Lutheran Church, and we are grateful for that. So thank you. Please continue to give. Our church, still is producing ministry. There's still expenses that need to go on at the church. We still got to keep the lights on, and there still has to be, the upkeep of the building, etc. We have to prepare for the expenses this winter. So just please continue to keep us in your prayerful thoughts about your giving, and we appreciate that. So thank you. What else? Of course, we did talk about the smart restart. And as you well know, that's kind of our committee name. We do have a committee together that will be working on that. And there's 2 volunteers in addition to Deb and myself. There's still room if you have a burning desire to help serve on that committee. It is the committee that will put the guidelines together as to how we get our church back open again. As you well know, to reopen, there is, we have to have a plan administrator, and we have to have a plan in place that has been adopted by our church council. And so we are actually going to begin working on that very soon. We have our first meeting date set, and we will get back to you with more news. We'll be working in conjunction with the council, and of course we're stressing safety and the fact that it's that our basis of the reopening decision has to be on what's equitable and out of love for everyone in our congregation. And so more news to come about that. Finally, I just wanted to offer up an idea and just wait to see if there would be of any interest. I do know that there's been several congregations around us that have been doing kind of a Zoom coffee hour with the pastors, so to speak. And I'm sure that many of you have experienced something on Zoom or a similar video conferencing platform right now. I mean, this is kind of how we've all been social for the past 3 months, right? Whether it's education or work or even just family get-togethers. We've been all using some kind of video platform. And so we do use Zoom quite a bit for the work of the church. And I've actually seen some other pastors set up like a Zoom coffee hour where if you want to be on there, we can get you the Zoom link and you can come in and we can participate as a faith family and just talk virtually. It's different than Facebook Live, which I'm using right now. Zoom is this actual participatory video platform where everybody that's on the link can talk and see each other and share news. And so I think that it's time. I think that it's time we schedule some of these regularly just so that our faith family could see each other and talk with each other, even if it's just briefly outside of service, right? I know that one of the favorite things about service is that social connection, whether it's beforehand when you get to talk to somebody in the pews and say, hey, how you're doing, or if it's that coffee and donut afterwards, that hour or so is really important, and I know a lot of people are missing that. So drop a note here in the comments section on this video if you're interested. Send me a text if you have my phone number. I think most of you do. Send me an email. I'm interested to see how many people would be interested in participating in such a thing, a faith family get-together via Zoom. No agenda, just a chance to talk and say hi and maybe lift up a coffee mug with each other. And once I start to get a sense of who's interested and how many people are interested, if there's some critical mass there, then we'll work on scheduling something. So let me know your thoughts on that. I'd love to see some of your faces, and I think some of the rest of you would feel the same way. So drop me a note. Let me know. Finally, I wanted to share a devotion with you today, one that I found kind of interesting for me, just because we are still in such an anxious and ambiguous time, right? The news about COVID continues to swell. There's still anxiousness over where we are as a country, and there's just a lot of heavy news out there. And so, look at that. And my screensaver went on right when I was going to read you a devotion. So, but as I focused on this devotion, it took my mind off of the troubles that we're experiencing and refocused me and gave me something to think about that's in my control. right? So much of what worries us and makes us anxious, and we fear is all of those things that are out of our control. But there is a practice, there's a faith practice that is within our control. And that faith practice is known as contemplation, right? And so let me read a little bit about that and tell you what I'm talking about. So, what is the practice that matters now? A practice is any act habitually entered into with our whole heart that takes us deep to the deeper place. Some of these practices we might not think of as prayer and or meditation, but they certainly are. Tending to the roses, a long walk, a long slow walk to no place in particular, a quiet moment at day's end, being vulnerable in the presence of that person whose presence we're taken to in a deeper place. That pause between two lines of a poem. For myself, I would include in here my nightly walk with our two dogs. These are the acts that reground us in the depth dimensions of our life that matter most. So if we're faithful to our practice will be faithful to us. In this contemplative practice, sit and renew your awareness that you're sitting in the presence of God, all about you and within you. As you inhale God's silent I love you, in which God is being poured out and utterly given away to you as the miracle of your very life. Then, when you exhale yourself in love. I love you. And so we are breathing along with God. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. From the reciprocity of love, destiny is fulfilled, and the foundations of suffering are healed. As we sit this way, suffering arises. The suffering then might be our anxiety and concerns for today, for ourselves, for our loved ones, for the world. As we sit in the midst of the arising of the anxiety, when we inhale this love of God, loving us through and through, anxiety and all, finding no hindrance in our anxiety, loving us so unexplainably forever. Then when we exhale ourselves in love, anxiety and all, to the love that loves us. This requires gentle perseverance because anxiety rises again. It doesn't automatically go away. We sit with it, we lean into it, and we hold fast to this love that sustains us in the midst of things. In this way, little by little, that we come to understand the unsubstantiality of everything but love. Love and love alone has the authority to name who we are. This practice, then, experientially grounds us in this love wisdom. This love wisdom, grounded in practice, empowers us to go out and share this with other people in the circumstances in which we find ourselves. And so when I read this week, what it reminded me of is that we need to find a place. For each of us, it's going to be different. I shared with you earlier, and I've talked about this many times throughout my time at Faith Lutheran. My spiritual practice every night is that walk with our dogs. It takes me on a journey around our neighborhood for about an hour. And it allows me to separate the busyness of the day with coming home to my family and putting away my anxieties of the future. And I'm wondering what your practices are. Maybe as I read that, it was going through your head what it is that your faith practice is. My sister is on here. I think she's watching. She colors, and she colors beautiful pictures. And I know that that's part of her faith practice. And so, Deb, keep on keeping on. We find God in those practices. The rest of you, I'm not sure what it might be. It might be tending to your animals are well, or to a vegetable garden in the backyard, or to some special rose bush that you may have, or to singing, or to writing poetry, or to reading poetry. In all of those acts, we can make them spiritual acts that allow us to access God's love. And I think it's really important because in this time, we can take that personal anxiety of our own and repurpose that for love of the other. And so that's why I wanted to share this devotion with you today, because I found it powerful, because it puts that ability back into our hands. We are not powerless against the concerns of this world. Some things we can't change at all, and we know that. But what we can change is we can be very purposeful about our spiritual practices, whatever that spiritual practice may be: prayer, walking your dogs, coloring, tending to flowers, whatever that spiritual practice may be. You can use that to repurpose our anxiety and our concerns and our fears into love of the other. And so that's my wish to you today, Faith family. Go find a practice, find a spiritual practice that can help you through this time right now, and that can fuel your love for others, and that, quite frankly, allows you and opens you up to that love from God as well. And so I do see your note, Veronica, and I may have had the dates mixed up on some of our guests that will be showing up. So I apologize on that. I might be a week early, but we do have guest readers and guest vocalists coming up here in the near future, and so keep a look out for those, and try and guess who they might be. So Faith family, I think that's all I got for today. Remember, no live service tomorrow night, but there will be a Sunday service on YouTube and on Facebook. Also, think about whether or not you'd like to participate in some kind of coffee hour with the pastor and with the rest of the congregation. And if you would, leave some comments here, or direct message me, or text me. Just get a hold of me and tell me of your interest. With that, I'll try and check in with you all again midweek and see how you're doing. And besides that, just blessings to you all, and report back to me. Let me know what your spiritual faith practices are. I'd like to hear about them and what they do for you. So let's continue that conversation. Peace to you all, Faith family. We'll talk soon.